Sale was kind of looked at as a bit of a joke. When Grundy came in and said, we will record 5 episodes a day, most of the people around me said, you'll never do it. It isn't possible. You cannot produce 5 half-hour shows of television in one day. And on the first day we did 2, on the second day we did 3, that was the plan. And then we came back a week later and we did 5. It was a massive project to put together. There were about 120 people behind the scenes who made Sale happen. And we made 1,065 episodes, plus some celebrity shows. And I remember when the show got canned after 5.5 years on air, the execs came down from Auckland, and one of them was surprised how many people the show employed. The biggest challenge was getting the hosts into their next costume. You know, Jude was faster than Steve. I mean, she had a full makeup and hair to do. He had a suit to put on. It wasn't hard, although Steve Parr was always held up by a full-length mirror to coin the old phrase. But he was a funny guy to work with. But yeah, great show. It was sad that it went. When it moved to TV3, it was a big shift for it. It rated okay. I don't think that it rated as well as they wanted it to. It was a massive investment for them. 3 were in a bit of trouble as far as their ratings went, but it was, again, it launched really well and had a good season. Wheel of Fortune was just that iconic game show that should still be running now. I mean, it's the best lead in the news has ever had. And with Wheel of Fortune, we were producing 15 shows in 2 days. 8 on the first day, 7 on the second. But the budgets got tight, as things do, and so we came up with the idea we could actually produce 15 shows in 2 days. And it was a real push to get it going, but then it just became the norm, and we just flew through the shows. And the old rule is, a fast game is a good game, and we would have, Philip would run from the studio to get changed and we'd be back. It became a race between him and Lana, and they'd be both back on set. We'd just have finished training the new contestants of what to do and what not to do, and then we'd be starting the show. And it was great. It was blistering pace, but really, really good fun. Love that story. I've heard so many people say, no, it wasn't O for Awesome, it was O for Olsen. And it's kind of like, no, I was the producer. I sat in the chair and listened to David being a little confused, saying, O for Awesome. I edited out the other vowels that he asked for. Quite a lot. I edited it out quite a lot, actually. I never kept it, but I should have. But yeah, so we cleaned it up to make it as tidy as we could, and not to be as embarrassing as it could be. But O for Awesome was definitely what was said. The New Zealand Idol experience, I think people were quite surprised because the first series is always a hit. Doesn't matter where you make it, doesn't matter how you make it, it's always a hit. It's really simple to make. The second series is really hard because the dynamic completely changes and the producers never expect it to change. They think it's going to be the same as the first one and they'll just make a few tweaks. And so there's a different way of dealing with it. And so New Zealand had a really good series 1, a series 2 which was going to kind of down a bit, didn't do as well. Didn't have the same richness of content because they hadn't treated it differently. And then so series 3, when I came in, I basically bought every trick that I had used in all of the other series around the world, and we threw everything into it to re-enliven it as much as possible and start adding lots more content into it, and adding opportunities for the kids to shine, where Series 2 hadn't really allowed that to happen. To Share with Love is probably for me, one of my career highlights. It was a passion project. For me, it was that opportunity to create a show that involved the magic of theatre and using a full fly floor to do massive set changes while running a television show from the front. And I would have loved to have done it in a bigger theatre on a stage that had more facilities, but we got away with it. I mean, we had our grips needed gold medals. I mean, what those grips did They were almost reflying stuff backstage while the show was running to make it actually come together. It was fascinating. They had stuff being tied up all over the place, and we were able to then to have the massive set changes that happened through the production, and the cream of New Zealand talent was singing on it. And for Howard, it was a sensational night. He was almost in tears when he saw us at the end of the night. And the night's tribute was, he stood up and said, "This has been the best night of my life in entertainment." A call came to TVNZ from government. They wanted to do a memorial service, and that was on the Thursday. Tina McLaren and Terry McFarlane basically threw everything at it, and by Saturday it was organised. What got me on the day was that I had a small picture of every miner that had been killed in the explosion. And as part of the tribute, we were bringing up their faces and reading the name and putting a key up. And the last thing we wanted to do was to get that wrong. So I had a list of them glued in front of me across the production desk. And so there's this massive long list, and that point in the production, I remember, I'll never forget working my way across, confirming what's on preview before it went to air to make sure we were absolutely right with confirming the key in the photos. And about halfway through it, I was just looking at these faces, and then I'm going, "Oh yeah, you're so-and-so's dad, or you're so-and-so's son." And I'd met the families, and that really stitched me up. And it was, really, really tough. So the Rugby World Cup, we did the opening from the waterfront. And I got called into TVNZ and they said, "Look, we've got this thing happening. It's 40 waka coming in to the main harbour, and then there's a bit of a welcome, and then there's a stage at this end, and then there's a march down Quay Street, and then there's another stage on the big wharf, and all this is happening." And I went, "Oh, that sounds really exciting, fantastic, okay." Like thinking in my head, I'm going, "Like, we need 22 cameras, no problem at all." They said, "Right, small problem, there's one truck available and you've got 6 cameras. And that was like, yeah, okay, right. The grandeur of it was fantastic. And I reckon Auckland showed itself off really, really well. And we achieved something which, to this day, I still look back and think, we were mad to even say that we could do it, but that we pulled it off. No black on air, no colour bars on air. The waka started coming in 5 minutes early. The helicopter had just left Eden Park to go to refuel, and they had such a good lens. From Eden Park, they could pick up the waka in the harbour, and he came screaming across, giving us pictures, going, "I've got 5 minutes on station before I have to go to get fuel. I'll stay for that, then I'm gone." And so we actually got the lead waka into the harbour, and then he had to go. So it could have all gone to pieces really quickly. Once we got through the whole arrival and all of the official welcomes and the march and all that sort of stuff, doing the concert for 4 hours was a breeze. That was a piece of cake. I'd been making reality TV for so long overseas that when I came back to New Zealand to do New Zealand Idol, one of the production assistants came running up to me and said, "So-and-so's just broken a leg." My immediate response was, "Did we get it on tape?" It wasn't, "Is she okay? Have you called an ambulance?" It was, "Did we get it on tape?" I went, "Oh, is she okay?" "Yeah, she seems all right." I said, "Good. Call the ambulance. Make sure we can travel a camera in the ambulance and have a camera waiting at the hospital to meet her." Bingo, reality moments. Warm props, we move around to make things happen. And I look back on that, that's really sad, Gav. You've actually gone from a warm, caring individual, who actually likes people and will care about them, to all that's gone aside to go, no, it's all about the product. And for me, that was kind of reality done. I'll stick with quiz and game where it's lots of fun, shiny floor shows, love entertainment, anything with music. So moved on.